Hey, it's Lowery Smith of the Commander Smiths here with a Searching for the Spotlight deck. Norman Osborn. Got about 100 cards here. We're going to try and cut it down into the low 70s, upper 60s. Get it close to a deck without wasting your time. Yeah, Commander Smiths is a podcast that comes out every week. We do deck building, deck techs. We do proxies. We do a subtad. No. No ears is for life. Come on. And then we do yeah, you could just join us here on YouTube every Monday night, maybe, sometimes Tuesday nights. I don't know. If you subscribe, you'll see, I guess. And then remember to give us a like, subscribe if you can. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoy the video. Norman Osborn is 1 and a blue for a 1/1. Can't be blocked. Whenever Norman Osborn deals combat damage to a player, he connives, which is draw a card, discard a card. If it's not a land, put a 1/1 counter on it. And then you can transform Norman Osborn, activate only as a sorcery, but you can also cast it for that 4 mana ability. And the backside is Green Goblin, 1 and a blue and a black and a red for a 3/3 human goblin villain. Flying Menace. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. And then each non-land card in your graveyard has Mayhem. The Mayhem cost is equal to the mana cost. You may cast a card from your graveyard for its Mayhem cost if you discarded it this turn. Timing rules still apply. So, Fernando, thanks for joining. Ooh. All right. We'll see how yours goes. Let me know what kind of cards you really like in there. Green Goblin is, kind of the key piece that people are really liking. Technically the Mayhem can be separate from that casting cards from your graveyard costing 2 less. You got Flashback, you got um Aftermath, you have there's plenty of cards that you can cast from the graveyard. Blitz is one that I think I have one in here. So, a very good card just without the Mayhem ability, but giving all cards Mayhem that you discarded that turn is pretty ridiculous. There isn't the caveat of can't be 0 or whatever. So artifacts with 2 mana just come into play for free essentially. And that's kind of the route that I'm going to be going. I'm going to try and cast stuff for free from the graveyard and try and wheel and deal a little bit. And then maybe attacking people with artifacts. I don't know, but Norman seems really cool. Let's go through the deck. It has a semi relative order here. We'll still make cuts as we're going, and I'll talk through stuff. But right here off the bat, Neheb, Dreadhorde Champion. This one, whenever it deals damage, you get to discard your hand and draw that many cards and create that much red mana. And then you just you're discarding cards. You can cast that stuff with the red mana. I like it when you don't have to use mana to wheel or discard cards. Even though that feels like it's going to be a lot of what's happening anyway. But kind of when it deals damage, um, you getting more mayhem effects seems really good, right? So I really like Neheb in here for a bit. Bone Miser, you're going to be discarding a bunch of cards, and whenever you discard a creature card, create a 2/2 zombie. Whenever it's a land, get 2 black. Whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card. So it's not a bad deal at all, really, honestly. 5 mana tends to be not bad, especially for this effect. If I cast this and then discard and get some effects off of it right away with like a zombie infestation, it's a good card. It ends up being a good card. Waste not, especially if we're going to go with the wheel route and everybody's discarding cards. It's just basically a bone miser, but getting 2/2s, and it's just everybody's doing it. Black mana, you get to draw cards. It's great in here, probably. Burning Vengeance, whenever you cast a spell from your yard, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Just a little bit of reach. Honestly, this first part is going to be a lot of burn. I do like it. It just 3 mana might not be doing enough. And also I'm kind of starting to go away from burn, or just like Fireweaver is not something, it's something that I can do if this idea doesn't work. So right now let's actually cut it. um and just move forward from there. Shadow of the Goblin, 2 mana enchantment at the beginning of your main phase. Discard a card if you do draw a card, and whenever you play a land or cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, this enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. I will keep this one in here because it has that discarding and drawing, and it works on all the levels, not just casting from the graveyard. Ancient Seller Spawn. 3/3. Each spell you cast that's a demon or horror costs 1 less. Doesn't really matter in this one, but whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its mana value, target opponent loses a life equal to the difference. And so basically, every time you cast a spell with Norman from the graveyard, somebody's losing 2 life. Very much kind of like that Burning Vengeance. But it's cool and new, and I guess I want to try it a little bit more. But maybe if I do want to shy away from that effect, I probably want to do this. I want to do this one, maybe not some other ones. Memory Worm. I'm going to do this one too, probably. But 2 mana, 1/1. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Memory Worm deals 2 damage to target player. That player discards a card, then draws a card and put a 1/1 counter on the worm here. Potential to just be doing a lot of damage. That's kind of the point. And it's cheaper than Burning Vengeance. All right, maybe I'm talking myself into bringing Burning Vengeance is just too much mana, right? Feast of Sanity, 4 mana enchantment. Whenever you discard a card, Feast of Sanity deals 1 damage to any target, and you gain 1 life. Being 4 mana, I do have this in my Rafine deck, which has a lot of conniving, probably a lot of discard. I'm gonna cut this for now, just because I don't know how much this deck is actually going to discard. Like, I might just go off 1 turn or 2, and then it's just kinda over, and if that's the case, I'm dealing 10 damage, which is nice, maybe, but at the same time, maybe that's not quite what's going on, especially at 4 mana, where if it's competition for the Green Goblin is probably the problem. Glinthorn Buccaneer, whenever you discard a card, deals 1 damage to each opponent. I should be discarding a lot of cards, so that's kind of what I'm going for. Feast of Sanity is a little bit more expensive. I'd rather go for a little bit more of a blocker. Magma Kin Artillerist. Let's hit that button. There we go.
Kid can't even read.
1/4, great blocker. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, this creature deals that much damage to each opponent. Also, the great thing about this is cycling. So, whenever you cycle this card, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So if you cycle it, it's a discarding. You get to draw a card, pay 1 red, cast it from your graveyard, and its cycling is really nice in here too. It doesn't normally get rid of it. It's more like adds a draw into the casting of the spell essentially, but not a bad deal. This architect? No, we are on Moxfield. And that is actually, let me see if I can copy. All right, it should be in the chat here. There we go. So there's the 100 cards at this point, and the deck list that'll be updated as it's going. But the Artillerist is pretty cool. Braylon, Sky Shark Rider. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, you deal 1 damage for each of those to each opponent, and 1/1 counters on it. And then I don't have any sharks. So she can just do a lot of damage. My problem is that it's that 4 mana spot. I'm okay with the 3. I like those 2. Braylon gets big though. She can be a beater. And it's only 2 mana to cast if I can discard her. Feels pretty good in my mind. I'm okay with it for now. We have Vivi Orniteer, which everybody, it's the big thing. But whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets 1/1 counter on it, 1 damage to each opponent, and then you can do its activated ability and add a bunch of mana in your mana pool once per turn or once per your turn. But that's a crazy card. This is an absolutely in, and also one of those cards that like you could go heavy into the non-creature spell, I think, and probably just would be good, but avoiding that this time. We have Aetherflux Reservoir. Just gaining life for casting a bunch of spells from the graveyard. I do think I want to cut this one right now. I like the idea of just being able to cast, like 8 spells in a turn and gain a ton of life and just dome somebody, but I don't know how realistic it is. I don't know where we're at. So this is like a dream, a hope. Let's see how everything goes and then be like, okay, I can add more power. So we'll cut that for now. Orcish Bowmasters. I do like this one, I think. Everybody likes this. But whenever an opponent draws a card more than their first one, they get dealt 1 damage. You can get to Mass Orcs 1. If you have a wheeling deck, this probably goes in there. Psychosis Crawler, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses a life, and power toughness is equal to the number of cards you have in your hand. Um, I think I'm gonna get rid of this for that same thing of just like I want to avoid what this is going. I don't want to solely avoid it, but there's plenty of this going on in a lot of my decks, and so I want to do less of it. Got rid of my Convoke deck, probably gonna kill off my Niv Mizzet deck, and because they were both doing this, um, but, like, just trying to have different decks is kind of part of it. So getting rid of Psychosis Crawler, even though it's great in a wheel deck. Mithril Coat for that protection. You can discard it on an opponent's turn and pay 1 when it's in the graveyard because it has flash, so you can just cast it. It's doing good stuff. Silver Shroud Costume, again, one of those things that you can just it has flash, discard it, cast it for free at flash speed, and when it enters the battlefield, attach up to target creature you control, and that creature gains Shroud until end of turn and can't be blocked, yada yada. So it's basically a free protection spell. Swiftfoot Boots for that protection. Same thing with Greaves. The other great thing is I got some of that Spider-Man Secret Lair stuff, so that'll replace, you know, Lightning Greaves, Command Tower, get some of that cool stuff in there. Tortured Existence. Pay black, choose and discard a creature card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This just has the ability, you discard a creature card to get something back into your hand. You recast whatever you discarded for cheaper, and then you have what you like in your hand, potentially cast it or just discard it whenever you get a chance to. But it's just making sure that you're discarding, but not losing cards in your hand. So you gain more flexibility. I think it's going to be great in here. Thran Vigil, 2 mana enchantment. Whenever one or more artifacts and or creatures cards leave your graveyard during your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. I have a feeling it's cheap enough that and different enough that I think it's going to be kind of nice to be able to just pump up a creature like +4/+4. Like throw that on Green Goblin. It's a 7/7 flying menace. Um, I think that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a nice little bit. We have Anger to give all your creatures haste when you discard this into the yard. Archfiend of Ifnir. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, put a 1/1 counter on each creature your opponents control. It also has cycling too. Um, but that's bonkers. It's been a great card in my Rafine deck as well. Star Athlete. This is a 3/2 menace. Whenever Star Athlete attacks, choose up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller may sacrifice it. If they don't, this deals 5 damage to that player. Blitz is a cast from the graveyard, so it's red colorless Blitz. Comes into play, has haste, then you sack it. I believe you get to draw a card at the end of when it dies or whatever. I don't know, but it seems like it's going to be a menace. Laugh track? We don't have a laugh button. That's disappointing. We should definitely do that. I'll write that down. Whatever. Hercules Recall. Return all artifacts target player owns to his or her hand. There is a lot of artifacts in here, and so this is removal for somebody getting out of hand or returning stuff back to my hand so I can discard it and recast it for free on a wheel. We'll see how that kind of goes. Same idea with rebuild, but it has cycling. So return all artifacts to their owner's hands. And then filter out, also return all non-creature, non-land permanents to its owner's hand. So all those artifacts go back to your hand. You wheel them away or discard them, cast them for free. Just a little bit of replay value there. Crypt Caller Chariot, 4 mana, 5/5 vehicle menace. Whenever you discard one or more cards, you get that many tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. This is a really good card if you're discarding cards. I'm not doing a lot of token synergies. I think I'm going to move away from them. So I do have this in Rafine, and that is enough of a reason to cut it. Um, and it's 4 mana. Let's go with at least cheaper ones. Geralf, the Flesh Right. This one potentially could be awesome. But whenever you cast a spell during your turn, other than your first spell this turn, create a 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature token. Whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it for each other zombie that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. There are multiple cards that create zombie tokens for me in here, like Bone Miser and Waste Not, and Zombie Infestation. Those are at least three really good ones that'll stay in here. So Geralf works with them, but also just like if I'm casting 3, 4, 5 spells in a turn, that's gonna get me a bunch of zombies, a bunch of big zombies, and we'll just start moving forward with that. I do like it. And also 3 mana. 3 mana is better than 4 mana almost all the time. The Lost and the Damned, 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a land enters or you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, create a 3/3 red spawn creature token. Again, 3 mana kind of fits in theme, casting from the graveyard, get a bunch of 3/3s. That's where we're at right now. Zombie Infestation, discard 2 cards, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token into the battlefield. It's a cheap enchantment that allows you to discard cards for free. Um, Probably really makes this because discard outlets are really nice. Um, Here's one of the cooler things that I think I'm going to be doing. Uh, Depth Shaker Titan, 7 mana, 5/5 robot creature. Whenever this creature enters any number of target non creature artifacts you control, become 3/3 artifact creatures. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Each artifact creature you control has melee, trample, and haste. So, more than likely, they'll go from 3/3 to a 6/6 trample haste. And then you got to sacrifice them. That's a little bit why those bounce spells are in there to protect it as well. Um, but that is where I think it's going to be fun. The 7 mana kind of turns me off a little bit, but I think it's the most expensive card in the deck, CMC wise. Cyber Drive Awakener, 4/4 flying. Artifact creatures you control have flying. And then whenever this creature enters, each non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature until in a turn. Turns it into all your stuff into an army. Try and end the game that way. Rise and Shine is a sorcery that's turning your non-artifact creatures into artifact creatures and get some 4/1/1 counters on them for the overload. Always overload for this. Um, that's the way to be. Maybe not. If I have to wheel it away, I would just pay the 2 to get one of the artifacts to be a 4/4. That could be dope. Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus. If we haven't seen any proxies, we give away proxies to our Discord members. We do have a Discord. We do have a Patreon. You can check those things out under the Commander Smiths, and you can find the podcast anywhere. You can listen to it audibly. But the reason why it's kind of in here, it's artifact centered, but also turns artifacts into 5/5 creatures. And that's kind of on theme. I just don't know how much I need or want. But this is one of my favorite Tezzerets, so we will stick with it. I have cut 2 other Tezzerets that are like artifact theme because that's like half a theme here. But um there we go. We have Underworld Breach. Enchantment that comes down, each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. You should have a lot of cards in your graveyard. You should be able to cast a lot of stuff for cheap. Um, and then you sacrifice it at end of turn. But I think I have not played with this card, but I'm excited to. I know it's a CEDH thing, but I'm excited to see what it does. Emery Lurker Lock taps to cat. You can cast an artifact from your graveyard, um, and that's what it's here for. Just casting stuff from the graveyard that you missed on the mayhem part. And Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. I'd have to. I'm gonna have to do a count of how many instants and sorceries we have. But wheeling from the graveyard just feels good, whether you're discarding it or not. And you can cast instant and sorcery spells from the graveyard with a flashback cost. And spells can't be countered as well. And I like that. We have Mirror and Spy. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may untap target creature. Emery is a great one to untap. I also have a bunch of Merfolk Looter effects in here, so Mirror and Spy is really nice. And then this is where we kind of start having a lot of similarities and stuff. So we have a lot of 2 mana rocks. We have the talismans and the signets full set, all 6 of them in here, and I think they just go in there because they cast for free, but they also let me do Green Goblin on turn 3 real easy, really consistently. Thought Vessel, the question ends up being is like, how many times am I gonna want a full grip or like fuller grip than the 7? Or am I just gonna be happy if I discard cards for some of the effects? Um, I think right now this is cuttable, and then we'll see because I don't have any cast at flash speed type things in here anymore. But it'd be fine if I, end of turn, discard down to 7, cast those things with the flash speed. But right now, let's cut Thought Vessel, Arcane Signet with the Thanos glove because it's Marvel, Belwar Stone, Mind Stone. It's the way to be. Um, Still in the mana phase here. Tezzeret the Seeker. I like this because it turns all the artifacts into 5/5 artifact creatures. That's the main reason why that's in here. So you're dropping it, untapping 2 of your rocks. Next turn, you're turning everything into 5/5s until end of turn, and you attack, swing, do your darndest to win the game. Um, that's kind of the goal. I don't like tutoring. I don't like counterspells. I don't like combos. Um, Try and avoid them as best I can. So this feels like it could be real nice and aggressive. Burgie, God of Storytelling. Whenever you cast a spell, add red to your mana pool. That is absolutely what's in here for. So you're casting the cheaper stuff for 1 or 2 or 0 mana, and then you're gaining mana that way to cast more spells that are a little bit bigger. Burgie seems really cool. One of the cards that I don't have, there's a handful of cards that I don't have right now. Urza, High Lord Artificer, Green Goblin Nemesis is in the mail. And then Will of the Jeskai is also on the way. So those 3 could really go well in this deck as well. But Burgie is pretty cool. I'm excited to see that. Scourge Familiar, discard a card to add a black. It's one of those free discard outlets. My biggest problem with it is that it's 5 mana. Um, this was a really good card back when it was printed in Urza's Saga. Um, I think the game might have passed it on, but damn, a free discard outlet that adds into the mana is great. But I have a lot of mana as well that I'm casting for free. So I and we want to be an artifact. Let's cut that. Oh, that kind of hurts because it feels like the perfect deck. If you want to be a little bit more casual, because most of the stuff that I'm doing is like casual, high power, somewhere in that range. It's not CDH by any means, but it's not like do nothing casual either. So if you want to, probably, I don't know. Bogwitch. None I like this one. This is but 3 mana, 1/1 spell shaper. Pay 1, tap it, discard a card from your hand to add 3 black mana to your mana pool. And then basically cast something for free as well. For the most part. It's a lot probably a lot more work, but this feels like it's gonna be really good. Inspiring Statuary. Non-artifact spells you cast have improvise where you can tap artifacts for mana for non-artifact spells. The big thing here is I do have, plenty of cards in that 4 and 5 range, especially with the planeswalkers. Um, and I think it's gonna be nice to have. That's all I got at this point. Crucible of Worlds, I'm gonna be discarding cards, so might as well keep lands in my hand that I can discard them and just play stuff from the graveyard. And, there's some stuff that work with that as well. We have Surly Badgesaur. Whenever you discard a creature card, put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever you discard a land, get a treasure. And whenever you cast or discard a non-creature, non-land card, this fights something. So that Vigil that adds 1/1 counters on it really helps boost it up so you can just start killing anything and everything. Um, and it just has a nice effect, kind of like Bone Miser and stuff like that. Currency Converter. Whenever you discard a basically it's a land card, you exile it under this, tap it to create a treasure token, and that's what that is for. It's just a nice effect when you're discarding lands. Nightscape Familiar, blue and red spells cost one less to cast. That's there to just make things cheaper, especially if people are targeting Greed Goblin, or just helps you reduce stuff by even more. Kind of where um statuary was something where I was like, yeah, this could be good. I got plenty of things that aren't artifacts that are in the 4 and 5. Same idea. This drops on a 2, can cast Green Goblin at 3, wheel or do something else. You know what I mean? Crystal of the Altar Cave, but really it's Chromatic Lantern. Just if you're wheeling and casting stuff, you want like basically all of your mana available. Like whatever color you can get is cool. And that's basically the thought behind that. Decanter of Endless Water. It is add a mana of any color for 3 mana, no maximum hand size. I got rid of Thought Vessel. Let's get rid of Decanter at this point, and we should be good in that regard for now. Soul Ring, Lotus Petal goes. This one is an infinite mana thing, but Emery, well, let's find the 3. We don't have to tell anybody. We don't have any outlet, but Mirror and Spy, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may untap target creature. Emery, tap, cast a Lotus Petal from the graveyard, untap Emery for that, sacrifices for mana, do it over and over and over. You have infinite mana just there to be able to, you know, cast stuff for that mayhem. But fun little deal there. We have Dousing Dagger, 2 mana equipment, 2 to equip. Creature gets +2/+1, and if it deals damage, you get to flip it. And they also get some O2 nothings. Doesn't matter. Flips to get you 3 color, 3 mana of any color. It works really well on a flyer. It works really well on something unblockable. It's always going to be good in this deck. Alchemist Vial, we we have a lot of this effect in here. I think there's 8 or 10 or whatever. But basically, it's 2 mana artifact, ETB, draw a card. Spare Supplies, same thing. Instant Ramen, same thing. Prophetic Prism, same thing. Ichor Wellspring, same thing. Eerie Gravestone, same thing. Guild Globe, same thing. Lumbos, same thing. Elsewhere Flask, same thing. Let's see how many we got of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. There's 9. There's 2 more that I want. They're just in another deck, and I can't find other copies of it. We'll either get there or we won't. So that is something that, you know, it kind of goes off discarding these things in the graveyard. You can cast them for free to draw more cards. And that's where I could end up with more cards in hand than 7. Um, and that could be fun, right? And then we have a lot of Merfolk Looter type effects. Lightness Looter, it is here to tap to draw a card, then discard a card. So just being able to cast stuff at instant speed potentially, or just control what's going on, can be untapped with Mirren Spy, whatever that one was called. Um, there could be more untaps in here as well, like an Intruder Alarm or Retreat to Coral Helm. Some of that stuff can be really cool, but here we are. Uh, tap to draw, and then discard is Likeness Looter, Thought Courier, Merfolk Looter, Kitsa Otterball Elite, Rona Herald of Invasion. Whoop. Let's move that one last. All right. And then we have Vohar, Valdalian Desecrator, and then Unctus Grand Metatech. This one's really cool because it's what other blue creatures you control. Um, have whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card and discard a card. So it basically supercharges all these things that'll tap and draw a card, discard a card. So you get to do that twice. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. So there's a little bit of a boost. And you can kind of change stuff around. But 2/4 for 3 that does all that feels pretty good. Riddlesmith is another dope one, but whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may draw a card and then discard a card. So when you're doing that kind of stuff, it works perfectly in there. Same thing with Quick Smith Genius. Whenever an artifact ETBs for you, can be treasures, clues, doesn't have to be gassed. You discard a card, then draw a card. There is a blue artifact flyer from Final Fantasy that also does that, but it's 4 mana, so I cut it. I don't remember the name. Windfall for, and then this is the um kind of the the wheeling effect. So you got Windfall, you have Jace's Archivist, you have Memory Jar, we have Wheel of Fortune, we have Wheel of Misfortune, we have Reforge the Soul, and those are the wheels that we're having in there. One, two, three, four, five, six of them. Not a bad deal. It's kind of where we're at. And then we have near div, devious diver. Whenever you cast a card from the graveyard, get to put a 1/1 counter out and draw a card. Whenever it becomes tapped, you get to mill somebody its power. The mill part doesn't really matter. It's there just to draw cards and become bigger. A green goblin revenant, 3/3 flying death touch. When it attacks, you get to discard a card, then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. There is a real potential to be able to draw a lot of cards with this. So Rael the Everwise, 03 gets +1/+0 for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. Whenever you discard one or more cards, the first time each turn, draw that many cards. So with a looter, on somebody else's turn, you draw a card, discard a card, and draw a card with that. She probably won't ever get that big. I have a lot of permanents, not a lot of instants and sorceries. So there's that. Captain Howler, Sea Scourge, 5/4, Ward 2, pay 2 life. Whenever you discard one or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. For each card discarded this way, whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. So if you wheel, discard 5, the creature gets +10/+0, and if it deals damage to you get to draw a card. If you're looting, you draw a card, discard a card, something gets +2/+0 and can draw a card. And then you do it again and again and again. So you can spread that out or whatever. It just feels like a really nice way to, you know, let's say we got, Green Goblin in play. You're wheeling twice, 3 times, and it becomes a 13/13. Like, I can see that happen. Maybe not 13 toughness, but it's a good way to get aggressive in the deck. Faithless Looting has that flashback, so the flashback cost is just a red. It's super good in that regard. There's Think Twice that I almost had in here, but that also got cut. Hate this art, so I will just be mad, I guess. Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh. I like this. First activated ability of an artifact you control is 2 less. Not a lot, but it works with some of those equipment that I have out there. You can +1 it to draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards unless one's an artifact. Um, -2 to turn something into a 4/4 creature, or -6 it whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, draw a card. It's all good. It's all good in this card. We have Unfulfilled Desires, enchantment, pay 1 and 1 life, draw a card, discard a card, and be able to play it this turn. Artist talent, you have 2 mana. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get to discard a card, then draw a card. If you have the second level, non-creature spells you cast have cost 1 less to cast. So that kind of all works together a little bit. And then you can also level 3 it. If it deals damage, you can do an additional 2 for each damage. So if I have um those cards that deal damage, if they still make it, then you can bump up, but it's good on both of those. Then we have Prof's Edict Memory. When it ETBs, draw a card, discard a card for enchantments, and then you have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn, -1. So you wheel once or twice, you can put 14 counters on something, like bonkers. All right. How many cards did we cut there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're down to like 92 cards. Um, let's do that was kind of there. Let's go CMC order and just see where things are laying. If we're fat, if we're need to cut somewhere hither and yon. More than likely. I think we're just really fat in the 2s and 3s right now. That's kind of where I remember the problems being. The deck has been sitting around for a little bit. I was hoping some cards would come in, but also getting like I want to do something lots of that too. Lots of stuff happening at the 2, which is fun. That is good stuff. 3, 2, 1. That's most of my stuff happens in the 2, 3, 4 range anyway, so I don't feel too bad about that. 5. You just gotta make sure, like, some the 2s are overloaded because of all the artifacts I'm trying to cast for free, and then also the looters that have their thing going on. I am a little kinda like, I don't know how much I wanna do Lear, but also this normally is just gonna be 1. Um, like, just being able to recast, um yeah, no, Lear's gonna be in there. There's no way. That's a 6. 7, 3s. I do like the idea of just, like, the artifact bounce. It's probably always gonna be a 2. That's a 0. 2s, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 5, and a 4. Alright. Let's see here. So, we have a bunch of cuts left, and I think that means that I need to cut this one. The biggest thing is if I didn't have to sacrifice them at the next end step, it wouldn't be that bad. But if I have to sacrifice everything, that's brutal. And if I don't win, if there's a fog, there's plenty of things that would stop me from winning. So I think this is something that we can cut. Cyberdrive Awakener, I don't think that we want to cut. And also Rise and Shine are just I think they're both going to be game winners. Just putting, they come down, put 20 to 30 points of damage on the board and just get aggressive and attack. I think they're both going to be pretty good. All right, the 5 mana spot here. I like I said, I really like Bone Miser. Plenty of stuff that I'm discarding. Same thing with Archfiend of Ifnir. Lear's gonna be really good. Tezzeret the Seeker, it's a ramp. Oh, as long as well as a tutor, but I don't think that's not the goal. Um, and then making an army. How many cards do we have that are gonna make an army? 1, 2, 3? And then, yeah, I think we're gonna need some of the damage, some of the tokens. The token creators could potentially just go away. Is that something that I wanna worry about? I really like the idea of the token makers. Tezzeret can sit around. Memory Jar. These both or all 3 of these do really well. Alright. That is just that, and I really like that. So Memory Jar, sacrifice it. Each player sets aside his or her hand face down, draws 7 cards, and at end of turn, each player discards his or her hand and returns his or her hand each card that was set aside this way. Okay. So you have the potential for them to be discarding 7, 14, 21, unless they're able to cast a couple instants. You're able to, uh, but end of turn is when you're going to discard. So you're not really going to be able to cast anything from the graveyard with that mayhem. Ah, shit. All right. Memory jar probably goes. Bummer. All right. 4 spot. Neheb, I feel, has a really good shot at being good. Braylon seems pretty sweet. I like Braylon. Yeah, she does work. She gets big. So I like that. All right, look at the top 5 cards. You may put an artifact into your hand, or artifact becomes a 5/5, or target player loses X life. You gain X life, where X is twice the number of artifacts you can control, which is going to be plenty. There's plenty of artifacts in here. So I do like this. It's probably come down, make a creature. I think that's probably I'm happy with that. Surly Bird, Badgesaur, it's just a different type of Bone Miser. Um, that doesn't draw me cards. I'm happy with that. Captain Howler, Sea Scourge. I just see something getting really big, and I'm not gonna be displeased with it. Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh, again, comes down, likely gets me a 4/4. I just do that. But I can also like discarding an artifact to draw a card, unless you discard an artifact card, which would be a bummer. I wish I could just discard 2 cards and cast 2 things for free that were artifacts. Um, yeah, I think this just kind of works. One of my favorite planeswalkers out there, honestly. Um, all right, 3 spot. Gonna have to take a serious look at the twos. All right, Ancient Seller Spawn. I do like this. 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell, feels good. I like Glint Horn. Just discarding enough cards. Magmakin. Yep. Vivi. Yep. Mithril Coat. I still like the idea of rebuild, filter out. I like those quite a bit. Doing them at instant speed, end of turn, returning everything to hand, and just cast stuff for free is likely what happens next. Filter out. Yep, I like both those. Geralf the Flesh Right sounds dirty. So I think just being able to get big old things, big old zombies, and it kind of fits in there. That can stick around. But this specifically needing to be from the graveyard, probably it just makes it tougher. I think probably more on theme, but let's go get this in the Riku deck, and then I can be a little bit maybe that works there. Mirror and Spy for untapping, that makes a ton of sense, honestly. Burgi, God of Storytelling. Ooh, I really like the idea. I think I'd rather just have Urza in this spot. But I like to be able to cast things for free, and then you get a bunch of red. Also, the backside is not bad. Discard a card, exile up to 2 cards from your library. You may play those cards this turn. And then you can also play the discarded card. It's basically, 5 mana. Discard a card to play 3 cards that turn. Um, Urge is probably better than Bog Witch. That's what I'm going to have to do, isn't it? Bog Witch seems really cool, but probably going to have to get cut. We have Inspiring Statuary. Why am I cutting this? Because it's slow. Let's do that. Just need to wait a turn, have to pay the black, and then you can kind of choose, but I don't see myself needing that much. So we can cut that. Inspiring Statuary to whereas it's an artifact, it's going to get bigger, or animated potentially. Also really just like it for that boost. I've done some dirty stuff with Inspiring Statuary, so I'm happy with it. Crucible of Worlds makes a ton of sense to me. I like that. Same thing with Chromatic Lantern. I have a wide spread of card types or color types. Let's see here. Two, 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 two. Mostly blue, definitely some black. That's a secondary color. Third color. So 27% red, 31% blue. Bit of colorless there as well. Black is definitely the lowest. So having some opportunity to cast some other stuff. Unctus feels like it's going to be really, really good. Quicksmith Genius. Just that's part of that free discarding when you have artifacts and you just roll through this. I have a feeling. Same thing with Quicksilversmith. I really that's in that 2 spot. Sorry. Windfall. It's one of the wheels. I like it a lot. Same thing with Jace's Archivist. I don't think I can cut any of those. Wheel. Near Div, Devious Diver. I probably like this more than the Rael, the Everwise. Do I? I like them both. If that matters any. I don't know. So I like both of them. Torres like Unfulfilled Desires. I think this deck loves this card, but since I'm going the Merfolk Looter route, I think I do need to probably cut this. Unfortunately. Um, let's run through that really quick. I don't think I can cut any wheels. Memory jar just went away, so there's that. I really like the Crucible of Worlds. Is Burgee something that I could potentially cut? Feels kind of wrong, but we do have like 27% red and then Mirror and Spy, draw off the flesh right. Those all feel pretty good. Let's look at that 2 spot. That's our thick spot. That's a lot. Waste Not feels good. Shadow, yep. Memory Worm is something I almost want to force. Bowmasters, great side. It's just a good general card, but also when you're forcing the wheels, it should be really good. Silver Shroud costume. I like that as protection. Same thing with boots and greaves. Is Thrawn Vigil doing enough? That's one of those cards that like I don't know if it's going to be good. It depends. If I'm not casting a lot of stuff from the graveyard, then I'm just not. It's not doing what I want it to be doing. Um, Good question. I think for now, this is something that we cut, and then we just go, oh, you know what? We are casting a lot of stuff, and so it's might be some sort of package that is okay to bring back in. Star Athlete again. I think this one's sweet. It's good if you're cast. I think that Bliss cost is perfect, especially with it being a cast thing. Just red and a colorless, cast it from the yard. You attack, you either destroy something or they take 5 damage. It dies, you draw a card. I feel like that's doing quite a bit. Hercules Recall, another one, just like it's protection and bounce at the same time. Zombie Infestation, Underworld Breach, dig that. I like all of the rocks at this point. All 6. Mind Stone, Felwar Stone, Arcane Signet. Yep, I like all that. This works with my 2 highest colors, blue and red. So I'm down for that. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I like all that. We already have a cost reduction. Dousing Dagger is really nice, but I am pretty heavy on the ramp as well. So maybe it's okay to cut that Dousing Dagger. Even though it's perfect in here. There's a lot of good cards that can go in here. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. I like Talent. I like Pross. I like Riddlesmith. Going backwards, I think we can cut Quicksmith Genius. I don't have a lot of treasures or clues being created. And it's 1 mana and it's just going to sit around. I'd rather have just a cheap nothing that does a little bit more quicker. So we'll do that. And then the 1 spot, Tortured Existence. I think it's going to be good. I do think we want to probably see card types, but Anger is going to be great in there. Emery, yes. One of the reasons why Anger is going to be great is I have a lot of activated abilities as well. So, Emery, Merfolk Looter type cards, those are all going to be great. And then you can have stuff just be more aggressive. Emery, currency converter, creating a treasure might not be that good. It's good. That's good. Soul Ring, Faithless Looting, all that is good. All right, let's see how many cards we've actually cut total at this point. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 16. All right, I believe we were at 100. I can go and check on that. We were absolutely at 100, so we're down to 84 right now. 83, 82. 82. All right. we're aiming for like 10 more cuts. We're actually on a really good pace right now. Um, let's go with card types and just see what's going on there. There we go. I know. Let's just do artifacts and creatures, huh? And then we can do everything else. Let's just do creatures. Nope. Let's see here. Artifacts. Artifacts. A little bit instant. Oh, you know what? Lear is becoming better and better in my mind. I do like that quite a bit. Creature. Artifacts. Some good enchantments. If I'm missing a wheel, let me know. But I'm pretty sure I'm happy with everything. Like card selection wise. We're in spy. Artifact creatures. Oh, we do have a walker in there. 2, 3. Don't normally make that many artifacts getting into the deck, but doing pretty good. Or not artifacts, planeswalkers. All right. Sorceries are Rise and Shine, Reforge the Soul, Windfall, Wheel, Faithless Looting. I like those quite a bit. I am not disappointed in any of those. Instants look like they're just artifact bounce. The other thing is, like, if anybody can think of some artifacts bounce spells where it can come back to mine or theirs or everybody's, that's great. So, like, Cyclonic Rift doesn't work because I want some of my stuff to come back to my hand so I can reuse them in the discard ability. Um, yeah, I dig those. So Lear can hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but they're all pretty devastating, I would say. I'd be happy with Lear. Um, yeah. Yep. I think Lear just comes down if I have to cast something. All right. Planeswalkers. I love Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh. And both of these are okay. I don't love them. I don't hate them. But both of them are there for kind of like that finish or getting creatures on the board, especially since I've gotten out. Well, we have plenty of creatures there. Um, how likely is Tezzeret the Seeker? I like that little bit of burn there that can potentially happen. That can really catch him off guard. Hmm. +1 it, block your ass off. -5 attack, and okay with all of them. All right, enchantments. Waste Not, Shadow, Zombie, Underworld Breach. How much do we care about Underworld Breach? That's a solid question. Um, Emptying out the graveyard seems a little bit brutal. Like, this is probably better if like there's removal, then that becomes solid. And I'm sure it's really, really good in CEDH and stuff like that. But um, let's cut that. Tortured Existence. Yep. Artist Talent. Really like that one as well. I like this better than the Smith. Quick Smith Genius. Does a little bit more, a little bit. Prof's Edict Memory. I think that can be a pretty big bomb as well. To skip a few. Let's look at our artifacts. We'll go through on protection. All right. Coat. Yep. Yep. Basically should be hitting my that's in play. I'm hitting my land drops. It's gonna be amazing. Set that off to the side. We'll want to take a look and see how many cards that's actually something that I'm gonna be happy with. And then we'll also I like that. The artifacts. I like this with Emery in the deck. Potentially just drawing, getting stuff back for free. Just doing it. Yep. Bunch of draw. That. Yeah, currency converter. How much do I like that? I don't have anything that can untap my land or artifacts. I don't have. I think. I think that's cuttable, which is kind of crazy. I don't know how much I like that. And it does have the draw discard on it. Well, slow my roll. I think that's all good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe that's where like we cut one of these. Basic land type. You control. Hmm. Colors, sacrifices artifacts. Food. Draw. Um, we have to cut something. Do we just go with the ugliest one? I think Gilded Globe has some potential. Ugh. All right, I think it's Elsewhere Flask. If we're cutting something, let's get rid of that one. All right. Artifacts have been gone through. Inspiring statuary. All right. Tezzeret the Seeker is something that I potentially want. Tezzeret Reforge the Soul. But really, isn't anything that I feel like, yeah, Bone Miser is something can't do. Cyber Drive, Archfiend, Lear. Yeah. A lot of those feel like that will help. But on the bottom side, I think I might just have enough ramp. It's not going to help anywhere around there. I think statuary can go. Let's take a look at our creature suite. I like the army that can make. Bone Miser, something that's going to be great. Archfiend, yep. Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. I like Braylon. I like that discard stuff. Neheb, Surly, Captain Howler, Magma, Glinthorn. Ancient Cellar Spawn is something that it feels very much like, let's see here, the Memory Worm. I like the reach of both of those. 2 damage to target player. That's they lose 2 life. This can get bigger. I mean, both of these might just go. Just because like it's so specific. I'm gonna be discarding and casting stuff. I think these are cuttable because they're so specific, and I don't have a lot of other reduction. At the amount of mana spent, yeah. For now, we can cut those 2. Vivi, Geralf, Mirror and Spy, Burgie. We're just not gonna. It's not gonna be like super crazy by any means. But I feel like it'd be great to just like turn 3 Burgie, turn 4 Green Goblin, drop that down, get a red, be able to cast something. I don't know. How realistic is that? How realistic is that? I do like the red. how much a red is a red can be. Mm, or am I think what I wanna do is just kinda stuck with the artifacts and just try and be on theme there as much as possible. Alright, Burgie can go because 'cause we're just trying to make cuts at this point. Alright. Unctus, I think, is Supercharger. I like Jace's Archivist. I like Near Div. Rael, I think, has some potential. Orcish Bowmasters has a really good shot. Star Athlete. I do really like this one. That doesn't feel like a cut at all. So Nightscape Familiar, making things cost less, which is right up the alley of this. And then we have our looters. Those looters. We have Riddlesmith. I really like that there too. Just free. Just does it until I'm done. Emery's great. Enger's great. All right. 1, 2. I should make sure I don't have Urza over there either. Let's see here. Unctus. No. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2. 78 minus 2 is 76. Oh, we're not doing too bad here, huh? Let's go into our piles. Let's see how much of everything we have. All right. I guess we'll put that there. That is casting from the graveyard. Draw a discard. We have plenty of that. There is removal. Any target, that is removal. That's a bit of draw. That is doing something, huh? Probably put that in the random ass spot. That is mana. So we have damage or license. Yeah, damage type stuff. That's a boost, even though it's a little bit of draw, but that is mana. That's both. That's drawing. That's damage. Graveyard removal. That is a boost. Technically. Waste not. That is a discard into a draw. That is tokens. That is ramp. That's a little bit of draw. That's a little bit of draw. Removals. Wheel. Draws. We know that's there for treasures. Ramp. Protection. Manas. And protection. Okay. All right. I think we're going to be pretty heavy on the draw. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 28. Okay. So we should cut down on that. Normally I like to be 15, 20, which is really 17, 18. And so we're talking about cutting 10 cards here. I don't want to cut like any of the wheels, the sorcery wheels, because they can just be cast for a lot cheaper. I like the Tezzerets. I like Shadow. Okay. Let's keep our artifacts in place. A little bit of cheapness. We like our wheels. Bop, bop. We like these two. Jace's Archivist feels good. Back to these. 8. Well, we didn't cut anything, and so that means we might have to just do these 2, unfortunately, down to 26 for the draw. I mean, we're just able to cast a lot of that stuff. Um, and then I like the Waste Not, Artist Talent, Bowen Miser, Neheb. I think those go in there as well. We are a wheel deck, and so you're just gonna be draw heavy on a lot of that stuff. See what we have for ramp. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18. I won't touch that. We're doing pretty good there. Pretty happy with that. Protection. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And really, let's see here. Boost, boost. I'm probably happy with those. A little bit more draw if I need it. I like the flash protection. How much haste do I like? I think I like the haste. I like the haste quite a bit, I think. Um, Fine with that. Our removal is what? 5, 6. There's not enough in there to be too bad. So we'll go with that. A random bit to 3. I like the discard. I like the untap. I like the tokens, but let's cut those. We aren't a token deck, and I think it'd be really good. And we have some of the cards that just do minus or +1/+1 counters, but we don't really have anything to do with that. So I like those 2 quite a bit. Let's look at our graveyard, just being able to just randomly. I'm happy with those 3 just being in there. It's not too much, not too much at all. We like the stuff that's going to turn that into creatures, and then the 3 more that are doing damage. Hmm. Let's do a final count here. 5, 6, 7, 30. 30. All right, we're at 60. 11. We're at 71. I've stopped videos with more cards in hand than that. Yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed. Check out the deck that'll eventually come out in the next year. I don't know. I like to play around with decks before I show off the final version of them. But yeah, give it a like, give us a sub, check out the Patreon if you enjoyed it. Adam's a lot cooler. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye.